Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to this channel. Dr. Catherine Asimwe. So in today's episode, we look at bloating. Yeah, bloating. Usually, just to make sure we're on the same page, bloating is that excess gas accumulation in our gut. Yeah, that usually causes pressure, discomfort, tightness. Yeah, so it can be very discomforting. So in today's episode, we'll look at how do you relieve it, in case you have it, and then we want us to know what actually causes it, such that you make sure that in future it does not recur, or if it recurs, you know what to do. Yeah, so that's the aim of today's video. So how do you relieve this kind of bloating? So before we see how to relieve it, you need to first of all understand this. Yeah? Our brain, our gut, the system, and then the good germs which stay in the system, they work together. They work together. Those three things work together: the brain, the gut, and then the bacteria or the good germs that inhabit or stay in our gut. Yeah. So every time we have bloating, usually the problem is from any of the three areas you get. So either the problem is with the gut, and by the gut, I mean either the problem is with what you've taken in. Most like it's possible that what you've taken in is what is causing the problem, or the state of the stomach inside, yeah? The state of the system, or how you're taking out whatever you've eaten. Yeah. Let me give examples just to make sure we understand this better. So what do I mean by what you've taken in? There are some foods that will most likely give you bloating compared to others. Yeah. So things like there are those foods which are not easily broken down quickly. Yeah. So they stay longer, and then these good germs come and work on them and start producing gas, more rapidly. These foods are normal foods we eat. Yeah. So some of them we may not necessarily do away with them because they are part of the normal diet. Rather, we need to know how to co-live. Yeah, you eat them, but you know what to do after eating them. Just make sure you not get bloated. So some of those foods, we have foods like garlic, foods like onions, foods like wheat, anything wheat, yeah, legumes, things like beans, yeah, beans of all kinds, yeah, kidney beans, French beans, all kinds of beans. We have dairy products, yeah. Dairy products, usually they have that problem. We have carbonated drinks. So all these are candidates for producing a lot of gas in our stomach. However, we shall see what to do, because we may not eliminate all these things from our diet. It's a bit unrealistic. So what we've taken in, then also the other thing about intake is sometimes this gas is swallowed from outside. Yeah. In things like anxiety states, when you're in panic mode, usually there are chances that you will swallow a lot of air. Yeah, if you eat so fast, yeah, there are chances of taking in excess air in the process. Yeah, so things like chewing gum, usually you swallow also air. So all those things are most likely going to create gas in your stomach. Yeah. Then about the emptying, yeah, or taking out the waste. If you're this person who is constipated, check yourself. Have you been having constipation like in the last days? So if you're constipated, there are chances to get there's a blockage. I mean, like gas is not getting out at a pace at which it's supposed to, so it will accumulate inside. Yeah. Yeah. Then there are also other things that happen within the gut. For example, there are some more complex issues. Yeah. For example, there are people who suffer if you've been diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Most likely they've told you this is one of the issues you'll be experiencing. Yeah, there are those complex gastroenterological conditions, yeah, which will most likely give you bloating as well. Now, for such cases, usually you have to go to hospital. It's not the usual small bloating due to diet, yeah. Yeah, so then with the brain, sometimes the way the body works is when it notices there's gas in here, it tells the brain makes sure that it works with some muscles, make sure it's expelled. So if that system is not moving as clear as it should, yeah, uh, there are some times when the muscles respond wrongly or not in a way that they should respond. Yes, so there's something we call abdominophrenic dyssynergia. Yeah. So no, those ones are a bit complex and will need you to be at hospital to be managed. Yeah. So, and also sometimes there's overgrowth of these bacteria in our gut, and they're usually the cause of this bloating. Yeah. So what do you do in case you suffer from bloating? So currently, if you have a bloating problem, one, if you have constipation, make sure you hydrate. Make sure you get stool softeners. Yeah, yeah, those over-the-counter medications which they sell, Bisacodil. You get them and then relieve the constipation. Even the bloating will go. Yeah. Then, if you have, if it's not constipation, there are also cases where like multiple gas bubbles like form within the abdomen, and usually those ones are hard to expel. So usually they want to put them together, form a big bubble, and then expel it once. Yeah. So usually things like this is also an over-the-counter medication. Things like simethicone, yeah, simethicone usually will help you with expelling. Tablets, capsules. Take it and then to help you with expelling it. The other thing you may have to look at, if after eating, usually it's good you make like a 10 to 15-minute walk. Usually to help with helping the gut to move. Yeah, when this gut moves in a wavy pattern, when we are walking, it's like its movement is also stimulated. But when you're sleeping or seated, or like it doesn't move the way it's supposed to. So a 10 to 15-minute walk post eating, and if you've eaten the other foods that put you at a risk of bloating, that walking will do something. Yeah, though you may have to do away with some foods which you can do away with, yeah, if they are excessively giving you bloating. Then you may have to let me see, check. We said there are those behavior which make you to swallow air. Yeah? Things like chewing gum, anxious states. Now, and sometimes they are unavoidable. Most of these things are actually unavoidable. So, if it's to do with chewing gum, maybe. Then, among other things which I forgot to tell you about inside the gut, there are people who are intolerant of certain foods. Like they don't have those components within our body which help us break down food. You'll find that for some person, for example, they don't have something that breaks down milk products, lactose. We'll call them the people with lactose intolerance. So you might find that for you lack those. So there are chances that if you take anything milk, it won't be broken down. It will stay in the gut, and then now the bacteria will come and feast on it. And for bacteria, wherever they are, they produce gas, and now you keep getting recurrent bloating because of this. Now they're in such a case, if you've done all these lifestyle problems like this, you've modified all these things are not changing, or if your bloating only comes on particular foods. There are also those who are gluten intolerant. Yeah? All foods with gluten like meat, if you have that, if your bloating comes after eating a particular food, that shows you may be intolerant to that food. You may need to also visit your gastroenterologist such that you're reviewed. Then if you need enzyme supplements, yeah, you're given, or you may need to do away with that particular kind of food, yeah, just to be stable. So basically that's what I can say about bloating. Yeah, I hope at this point you know what to do if you're currently bloated. Check out among the causes I've listed what could be causing yours. Yeah, if it's constipation, you know what to do. If it's just nothing, like you've just taken maybe foods and now this gas is all over, you can get those over-the-counter medications that I mentioned. Yeah. So if yours has been chronic, like it keeps coming with particular foods, you may need to get reviewed, such that if you're intolerant, you're started on the relevant enzyme supplements, or some foods may need to be withdrawn. Yeah. So basically that's what I can say. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel just to get more of such videos. Shall be looking at more and more topics here as we go along the way. Thank you so much.